What's up, ladies and gentlemen? It's your boy Bullets Gotti with another one. This video right here that we're gonna talk about Leo Mangione. If you don't know who I'm saying Leo. I mean Luigi Mangione. Sorry about that. We're gonna talk about my opinion. I saw Dr. Umar did a video on this, and he was talking about Luigi Mangione and basically saying he don't believe he did it. I gotta agree with Dr. Umar Johnson. I don't believe that Luigi Mangione did that, because at the end of the day, if you really look at that, right, and you just look at that whole case, a lot of things seem odd. And then I had a conversation with my cousin who is actually incarcerated with Luigi Mangione. He's incarcerated with him. He was incarcerated with him in Blair County. He came in and, like he said, he was saying he was innocent, that he was being framed, and basically he said it was political. And when I look at this whole situation, just look at it, a lot of things just seem odd to me. You know, they brought him back to New York. It was one point of the video. It was one point where, you know, in the beginning of this whole situation, they didn't know who this person was. They didn't have no evidence on him. They didn't have no fingerprints. They didn't have anything. Then all of a sudden you hear about a book bag pops up, and then there's just a Tommy Hilfiger jacket and Monopoly money, right? They said it was a water bottle, but no prints smushed on the water bottle, right? And fast forward, you hear they found prints, you know? It was just so much thing that just was so odd about this whole case that, to me personally, I just didn't believe a lot of things I was hearing. I think that just deep down, when you really look at this whole Luigi Mangione case, is that you have a person that is basically being arrested, and you know, he's being blamed for this. Now, me personally, I hear a lot of things, and sometimes when I listen to the media, a lot of times I try to look at both sides, and just this case just had me just so glued in that I really didn't believe half of what I heard. But hold on one second, I'm gonna be right back.
Rutgers wins 91-64, improving to 7-0 at home. On the ice, Rangers down in Florida. Blue Shirts coming back twice tonight, down a goal in the third when Chris Kreider ties it.
Sorry about that. So when I heard the situation, just hearing about Luigi Mangione and just hearing about what was going on with this case, and just hearing that he did a murder, and he murdered this guy, Brian Thompson. But the thing that really just struck me about the case, and just, I wouldn't say rubbed me the wrong way, but just made me look at the case intensely, and a lot of the stuff that I saw in this case just didn't make any sense at all. You have a guy that goes to a hostel. This guy was staying at the Marriott. He goes outside before his meeting that he was having around, they said 9 a.m. And for him to go to his meeting at 9 a.m. and then to see this person comes out the shadows and shoot him in the back, he was waiting for him, right? And he had the whole escape route planned it. You know, this guy shoots him, he unjams the gun, he goes and to an alley and rides a bike. He rides a bike down the street. He's in a hotel room with a mask on. mask did not come off. It was just so much things that people saw in this situation. It just, to me, it was a perfect plan. You know, it was just a perfect situation. And with somebody like Luigi Mangione to be blamed for something like that, and that's why I agree with Umar, is that it just don't make no sense. It just doesn't make any sense. To me, it just, I could be conspiracy, but it's just somebody professional, somebody that's highly trained and skilled did this to this man. I just don't believe that a guy that's 26 years old, 25, 26, yeah, 20, yeah, I think he's 25 or 20, no, he's 26, 26 years old, and this was perfectly planned. Like, this guy knew what he was doing. He did this before. This wasn't his first hurrah. And it's just something about it just didn't add up to me. It's sort of like the thing that happened in Butler, Pennsylvania, like with Donald Trump. Certain things, when you look at a lot of things, it just don't seem right. But in this case here, this just didn't seem right. It just seemed like, to me, that it was something deeper going on, and it just seemed like, you know, they want to blame this guy because it's like, well, they said he had some health issues and he had a surgery. And then they said the motive was something happened with a family member that made him do this. But it just don't seem to me, the guy don't fit the description of somebody that's disgruntled. It don't seem like that. It seems to me it's different than that. It's way different than that. It just seems to me that it's something else, you know, that's involved in that. Because if somebody is a hitman, or what you'll call a day of a jackal type of person, because that person is a day of a jackal. Have you ever seen the movie Day of a Jackal, or you seen the Peacock joint that they did about the jackal? Just that movie. You know, have you seen the movie with Bruce Willis, or you seen the original one that they did many years ago? Well, if you look at that movie, that guy was a skilled marksman assassin, right? And it just, in this case here, it just felt that the guy that did this was a skilled marksman assassin. It just doesn't look like somebody, an amateur, would do this. It doesn't look like somebody that never did a murder before just wake up one day and just said, I'm going to kill the CEO of United Healthcare. That doesn't seem sure, and it doesn't seem realistic. To me, you know, they said they couldn't find anything. They couldn't find the weapon. They couldn't find the book bag at one point. They said they couldn't find this. They couldn't find that. They couldn't find anything, right? And then the week after everything was over with, they finds dude. I don't know if it was like 2 weeks or maybe a week. I forgot now. I think it was like 2 weeks this happened. They couldn't find dude. And all of a sudden, they found him in Altoona, Pennsylvania, of all places. That right there was like, that threw me off. Altoona, PA? Why Altoona, PA? You know, when I had a conversation with my cousin, and I said, yo, bro, that's crazy that he's in the same place that you are locked up in, and they caught him in Altoona. That's crazy because, you know, this dude did not live in Altoona, PA. He's from Pennsylvania, you know, went to school, University of Pennsylvania, you know, has a family member that's a political, you know, politician, that's a politician in Maryland. And to get caught in Altoona, PA at a McDonald's, that doesn't seem logical to me. That just seems like something's not adding up with this. Because the place, like I said, the place that he was caught, the place that he was found, how can you be found in this place and you lived in they said on the news that the person that did this lived in Georgia. They said they was going to Atlanta, Georgia. They was going to Georgia. This person was heading on the bus to Georgia, right? The head that he landed in Pennsylvania, and they saw him in Altoona, PA at a Mickey D's, and then he gets arrested and has the gun on him. To me, that just didn't sound logical to me. Like, this person has a gun on him, eating at a McDonald's of all places, like breakfast. This is during breakfast time. Like, it just didn't, I couldn't, really, how can you say this? Really put that in my mind. Like, I really could. It was like mind-boggling just to hear that they caught this guy in Altoona, PA, in a McDonald's, eating, and he had a firearm that he supposedly had used in this assassination. To me, it just didn't seem right. It didn't seem logical to me, because why would he be in Altoona, PA of all places? Why would he be at a McDonald's of all places? And that's why I'm kind of like with Umar, like on the fence on this and saying, nah, he didn't do that. And I really do believe, and I don't think he did it. I still don't think he did it. I already knew when I first saw him. I said, nah, this guy didn't do it. It looks like two different people. When you watch the video, it looks like two different people. It doesn't look like the same person. It looks like it's another person that's involved with that. Like, you would think it was one person that it was the same person, but it just didn't. It was a whole different person. And just me watching the video and just watching the whole situation, to me, it just looked like, this was a perfectly planned situation. Like, this guy knew his escape route. They didn't have no pictures of him leaving the depot station in Washington Heights. They didn't have no footage, no video, no nothing. They said he was in two hostels. The guy that slept in the room with him in the hostel, they said he still had the mask on his face. So they didn't know. Then they said, oh, this guy that took his mask off was him, and the guy that was in I don't know if it was an Uber or a taxi, was him. And to me, it just didn't seem. It just seemed like it was just something that was planned. Like, to me, it sounded like it's something deeper than this. And dude got framed. It just didn't look. To me, it just didn't look right. It just don't look right. Because if the media said they didn't know who the person was, nobody knew who the person was. They didn't. And then this is the thing that really made it odd to me too, was the part where they said that the guy that pointed him out in the McDonald's, I don't know if he was the worker or the man that was in there that I forgot what they was, some type of relations to the worker, but the person that spotted him was supposed to be gifted, I think it was $60,000 or something like that, the reward money, and they didn't gift the man the reward money. That right there put my antennas up. Like, if somebody basically saw somebody that did something like this, a high profile killing like this, and they snatches the reward money away and don't give it to the person that fingered him out, that right there just had me looking like, oh, this was basically a frame up job. Because if it was a solid case and they really had solid evidence in this case, they probably would have had this case right here would not, because I'm listening to the lawyers. The lawyers even say, can they prove it's terrorism? Can they prove that he did this murder? Can they prove any of this? Like all of a sudden they found manifestos, they found this, they found that. And a lot of times, I've been like, I wouldn't say I'm on some conspiracy theorist type shit, but like, I'm watching a lot of things. And to me, it just seems to me that people just don't look at the bigger picture and they don't see what it is. Like, I see what it is. What I see is that these guys really just was like being on some BS, really, because how can you find somebody that quick? And when you find the person, all this new evidence come out about a manifesto, the fingerprints on the bottle. Like, in the beginning, they said they didn't have any fingerprints on the bottle. They said that no fingerprints was found on the bottle. It was smush. They said when they looked at the book bag, it was Monopoly money and a Tommy Hilfiger jacket, right? That was found in the book bag, right? When they said they was trying to get surveillance footage to see him leaving the depot in Washington Heights, they had no footage of him leaving the depot in Washington Heights. And then they said that he is from Georgia. That's the thing that stuck to me also. When they said the guy was from Georgia, the people need to go back and listen to that when they first was talking about this. They said the shooter was from Georgia. They never said the shooter was from Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania never came up. They said the shooter was from Georgia. And then when they found him a thing, he's from Pennsylvania. He went to University of Pennsylvania. He's an Ivy League student. He was an engineer. And to me, it just seems weird. Like, how can they come with this after they basically said they didn't have any type of sort of evidence to find this guy? They didn't have anything on the guy. They just going by like the same old BS. And that's the thing that really confused me about the whole situation, is that this guy, basically they put this on this guy and said this guy did this, said this guy did that, but they don't have any substantial evidence that he did any of what they saying he did. Like, that's the thing that kills me about the whole case. Like, I believe that if they have a scenario like this, they should come up with at least more substantial evidence than, or we have the fingerprints now. Because I just don't feel that, how can you just come up with fingerprints when before they said they had no fingerprints, they had no evidence, they had nothing. They couldn't find a weapon. They didn't find nothing in the book bag. It just, the way it was thought out, it was like, this is from somebody that is a professional. And I feel like Luigi Mangione was set up. I just don't feel that this guy that they saying that did this crime did this. Because like I said, this had to be done by somebody that is a professional. Somebody that does this for a living. Like, to be an assassin, you have to be stealth. And Luigi Mangione does not give off the characteristics of a stealth mode assassin. You know what I'm saying? This is a guy that got up early in the morning, did surveillance, stake out, stood there till this guy, Brian Thompson, came out the hotel and stalked him and killed him. Unjammed the gun. That's professionals. That's somebody that knows his way around guns. That's not somebody that don't know his way around guns. This is somebody that knew his way around guns, knew what he was doing, knew exactly what he was trying to do. And when I saw that, and I, I examined that whole situation, and I just looked at it to myself, and I said, no, this right here is orchestrated by those people. It just didn't look, to me, it just didn't look like what people made it look like, you know. And a lot of times when you see people say the things that they say or do the things that they do, you know, you have to be mindful of the people and just be mindful of, you know, the people that are um you know that that are in your surroundings. But in that case, it's like I just didn't understand how the person saw him and they didn't get no reward money. That was the oddest thing ever. Like, you have somebody that said they pointed him out, seen him at the McDonald's. The person that worked there, I don't know if it's the person that worked there or the person that knew the person that worked there, but they were the ones that pointed him out and said they saw him there at the McDonald's. And the cops came and they arrested him at the McDonald's. But here's where this is where my thinking cap comes on, and I start looking at this thing, and it just seems weird. Like, we don't see the person that was the witness. They don't get the money for being a witness. That to me seemed like it was basically a frame up situation, you know. And it looked like that because it just was odd, you know. Everything surrounding that was odd. It just didn't look, you know, official. It just looked odd, and it looked type obvious, and that it just didn't, to me, it just didn't make any sense. Because if you find somebody and this person did this crime that they are being accused of, it just didn't make any logical sense that this case just was all over the place. It just didn't, to me, it just had this whole, like, coldness to it. But it also just looked at it to me that the person that did this had one job and one job only and one task only to get the job done, to do what they had to do. I really don't believe that a guy that went to an Ivy League college, that really come from a well-to-do family, he's not struggling, he's not depressed. You know, you could see in his pictures and just in his videos, this was a happy-go-lucky dude. Like, everybody that knows him speaks well of him. He was in California. This is another thing that kind of, like, got me a little, like, antsy, is that he was in California. So somebody that was out west, how can they come all the way from the West Coast and go to New York and do a hit and then go back to Pennsylvania? It just didn't seem, that seemed odd to me. You know, that really seemed odd to me. That he traveled all the way from Cali, because his parents said he was living in California. Then some said he was staying in Hawaii. That's what they were saying, like, in the like where he was in some of his pictures and stuff. They said he was staying in Hawaii also. So this is somebody that was staying out west, Hawaii, California, San Francisco, I think that's what they said he was staying. And for him to go all the way there to back to Altoona, PA, but before he goes to Altoona, PA, he goes to New York to assassinate the CEO of the biggest healthcare company, United Healthcare. It doesn't make any logical sense. It doesn't make any logical sense. It doesn't even, to me, it doesn't seem realistic. Because if he did all of this that they're saying he did, why would he be still in the same place? Why would he go to the same place that he grew up in, state that he went to college in? Why would he go there? You know, people that do things like that, they don't stay at the same place. There's people that are on America's, like, I was looking at this case of this woman. She's been on America's most wanted list, and they still haven't found this woman, right? She done this, I think it was in Detroit. Like, she did this crime, like, in 2019, and she's been on the run, and they have never found her, right? You know, Luigi Mangione, if he did this, don't you think that he would have been out of here? He would have been, it just don't seem to me that he would just go, a person that's a killer, a professional killer is going to be sitting in a McDonald's eating knowing that they're on the run, that they can be traced, that they can be followed, that they can be identified. You know, he sat in there with no mask on at McDonald's. You know, and they said because he had a whole bunch of masks that he looked suspicious. So to me, it didn't seem right. And then we don't see the silencer and the gun, and all of a sudden they found the gun. A lot of this shit just didn't seem right to me. Then they said it was a ghost gun. So to me, it just looked like this was a political thing, and it was dealing with something with the high ups. It had nothing to do with Luigi Mangione, because he wasn't the one that did it. Whoever did it, for the big dogs. That was a big dog situation. That wasn't a small dog situation. That was a big dog situation. But to label this guy as the culprit, people that are not in the Matrix, people that got their third eye open could see through this whole case and say, no, this doesn't seem right. Because I always believe common sense and logic is everything. And when you're listening to certain things, you have to deal with common sense and critical thinking. Because if you don't deal with critical thinking, you'll just believe any okie doke thing they say. I always believe in critical thinking, so a lot of times when I see certain situations, I critically think about it, and I basically sit there and I listen, and I see the situation, and I look at it play by play. And just in this situation, looking at it play by play, and just seeing what happened with this situation, it just didn't seem right to me. It just didn't seem right to me. Just the breakdown, just watching the video on Instagram and Twitter and other places, seeing the surveillance video, the person was a skilled person. He knew what he was doing. This guy looked like he had gloves on. I couldn't see the hand, but he pulled the gun and shot this guy, and he ran to an alley and got on a bike and escaped off the scene. He had all black on, took off the all black and put on something else. But when you look at the video, it looked like two different people. It don't look like the same person. So it looks like it's three different people, and they saying that, it's the same person. But when you look at the surveillance video, it looked like three different people. It don't look like the same person. You know what I'm saying? It don't even look like dude. It just looked like that dude is just basically being framed and being railroaded to something he did not do, because it just don't seem right to me. You know what I'm saying? And when I listen to the pundits that's speaking about it, a lot of people, some people I watch some channels, they've said the same thing. But Umar, when I heard him spoke about it on the dialogue, and I heard how he broke it down, and that was the same way he broke it down is the same way I feel. When I look at that situation, I just look at it and say to myself, this right here just is not. It's not real. It just don't seem real, and it just don't seem like this is the perpetrator. This is the culprit. It just seemed like they found somebody that may have fit the description of what they deem was the killer, but they don't know if that's really the killer. Because even the law experts that's speaking about this case, they all say they have to prove that he did terrorism. They have to prove that this was this. They have to prove some of these things because right now it's like they have to debunk a lot of these things. Yes, they have him in custody. Yes, he's in MDC. Yes, he's getting a federal case, and that's another thing. That's another thing that had me thinking about this case is that it was a state case and then it just all of a sudden just turned federal. I'm like, wait a minute. This was a state case. This was the state of New York, the city of New York was going after this guy, right? Alvin Bragg went after him. They was prosecuting the city of New York. And then it went from the city of New York prosecuting to the federal government jumping in. And now it's a fair case. Now he's in MDC Brooklyn with Diddy, who's also in MDC Brooklyn. And he's being represented by the same law firm that's representing Puff. The same lawyers, the same two lawyers, the husband and wife is representing Diddy. So this is a political case. Like they said, his family has political ties, and his family is big in the real estate business, and his family member is a state senator. I think he's a state senator or state assemblyman. It's one of the two, but he works in politics in Maryland, his family member. So to me, when hearing this case, it just sounds like it's very political, that it has a lot of political ties to it. And it's really messed up because when you really look at this case, it just looked like they may got the wrong guy. They may have the wrong guy because it don't make any sense to a logical person of common sense. This don't make any sense for a guy like that to just 1 minute just say, like, this is how I feel. Like when I look at a lot of these cases, whether it's school shootings and a lot of these cases that's going on now, I used to say, people just snapping, but a lot of these things just happen too often, and it's like, the guys that's doing it is getting younger, and it's like they just out of nowhere they just picking any and everybody and it just don't seem like it's some patsy stuff, and that's like even with like look at Lee Harvey Oswald, right? If you look at the JFK case, right? JFK, they said if you read a lot of the books or you see certain things, they say JFK was assassinated by two gunmen. They said it was two gunmen. Dr. King, they said it was another gunman. It was never, James L. Ray, which his son proved that it wasn't James L. Ray. His wife and his son did not believe that James L. Ray did that crime. But for years, the biographers wanted it to be James L. Ray. The people that was writing the books on Dr. King was trying to say James L. Ray, just like with Malcolm X. They try to say that, the Nation of Islam murdered him for so many years, and then come to find out it had nothing to do with the Nation of Islam, that the men that they said did not even do the hit, that it was another man that ended up in Cory Booker's commercial, that, William Bradley, who was on the scene, that left the scene, that had the shotgun on him, and got away with the murder. And not only that, he got away with the murder, but, it was other people that was involved, like Eugene Roberts and so many other people that was involved in Malcolm X killing. So it's like when you look at these type of cases and you see things like that, it's not being a conspiracy theorist, it's just being a realist. And you start seeing that, wait a minute, this don't seem right. This doesn't seem right here, And that's why when I heard Umar, when he spoke on that, I was like, yeah, Umar's right. Dr. Umar was right on that, because he was absolutely right, because he said, wait a minute, this dude did not do that. He did not do that. He's being set up, and I do agree that he is being set up, and it's sad because they doing it in front of our eyes. Because when I heard the first time when he spoke about this, and this is when he had left New York City, they said he was a resident. The news media said the suspected gunman was a resident of Atlanta, Georgia, and he's from Georgia. They said he's heading to Atlanta, Georgia, and he's from Georgia. So when I heard that, and I heard him say that, that right there made me look and say to myself, hold on, something is just not right with this. Something is not adding up. Because they saying that the person that did this, the assailant that did this, is not even from, is not even from where they trying to say he's from. And now when they come, they found him. They said, they found him in Altoona, Pennsylvania. And I was like, why would he go to Altoona, Pennsylvania? Like, that's like a small town in Pennsylvania. Like, of all places, why would he go to Altoona, PA? Why would he land in Altoona? And why would he be in a McDonald's with his face out and he's not, has no mask on his face? Like, those things, it made me wonder, like, wait a minute. It's just, something is not really right with this, man. Something is not really right with this. And that's when I said to myself, yeah, it's something really not right. And it's propaganda, but a lot of people just don't see it as propaganda, because people just want to see what they want to see or hear, and I believe that, when you look at these cases, like the Brian Thompson case, is that this is a money play. This is a money play from the beginning. This is sometimes you have to really see it to yourself and say, wait a minute. It's not only is a money play, but it's a play on people's common sense. Because you can't say on one facet in the news media that the person that they saying that did this and the person that is basically being blamed for this is somebody that wasn't even thought about being from Pennsylvania. They was somebody from Georgia. So how did the person go from Georgia to Pennsylvania, Georgia to Pennsylvania? That's what I'm saying. It just didn't seem logical, And that's why I said, like, the whole Luigi Mangione case is just, it was basically, they had to find a scapegoat and they went after this dude, And the crazy part is, Diddy and him is locked up in the same jail and got the same attorneys. And that was the thing that really got me, is the federal case. Like, because he had a whole state case. That's what really, like, threw me off. Like, how did it go from federal to state? Because at first, they was charging them state. They didn't even charge them state. They went straight federal court, boom, and they put him in MDC. And I'm like, wait a minute. It was a state case. Then when they brought him back to New York, they charged him federally. So that's what really just threw me off and made me look at it like, oh, it's political. It's some politics involved with this. This don't seem right. There's something very political behind this, because a case going from state to federal, and they didn't even prove that he did this terroristic or any of that. You know what I'm saying? It's just the way, like, they thought of this case, and the way, like, they penned the case on this guy. It's like it didn't add up. It just didn't add up. It didn't add up. It just sometimes, when you look at a lot of these cases, man, it just is, to me, it just look crazy. And in this case, it just looked crazy to me. That somebody can be charged and he may not even be the person that did it. You know, so that's what really had me thinking. And I was like, yeah, that's a fact. So, yeah, you know what it is, man. It's your boy Bullets Gotti, man. I just wanted to do this video real quick to talk about the Luigi Mangione case. Make sure when y'all leave this live, make sure y'all smash the like button. Make sure y'all like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell. We trying to make sure that these videos go into the algorithm. Once you guys smash the like button, once you guys share this, we are now in the algorithm. So we want to continue to be in the algorithm. Bless.